Evening, Geeta
came
ma'am.
on time.
Good evening, Ratnakumari garu. And Shreyas, when I start beginning, you will do the recording, no?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So I will start now in right away now.
I am very happy to see Madam Akiko Sugita here. And I'm also happy to see Sangeeta Asrani. You know, Sangeeta's father was my ambassador in Tokyo.
Hello,
Welcome,
Ambassador. Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening, Sugita-san. Nice to see
How are
you.
Yes. How are you?
Doing good.
Very nice to see you all.
Vinod also has joined us now.
Thank you.
So, Shreyas, we are good to go?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to today's monthly series of webinars, the third in the series. And we have a Japanese speaker today who will be speaking on a very interesting subject. Miho Sakata Malhan, a trustee of Lotus and Chrysanthemum and founder of Muse Creation, is a writer, editor, and a researcher. From her beginnings in Kumamoto to founding Muse Publishing in New York and authoring Machi no Hi, which means City Lights, her journey is inspiring. The company managed advertising and printing business for Japanese companies and also led Indian market research projects for them. In 2001, love brought her to India, and she is one of the celebrated voices in Japanese media on Indian culture. Promoter of the Kyoto Yuzen saris, this initiative was supported by the Kyoto government to express the historical links between India and Japan in heritage. In 2023, she founded Okeri Ventures with Arvind Malhan and started projects to interconnect Japan and India. Miho's work artfully bridges tradition and innovation. Recently, she was a panelist at the Mysuru Literature Festival. Her father, who owned a construction company, built a stupa in Hisayuma, Fukuoka in 1986. I am sure today's talk on the Karayuki Sans of Japan will really tug at our hearts. Karayuki San is about the tragedy of Japanese girls from poor villages sold as prostitutes to destinations in East Asia, Southeast Asia, Siberia, Manchuria, Bombay, and Australia during the Meiji era in the late 19th and 20th centuries. Karayuki San is literally Miss Gone to China. The meaning later evolved during the Meiji era to mean Miss Gone Abroad. The treatment these women have received was painful and dismal. It is estimated that as many as 200,000 or to 300,000 Japanese women were sold around the world. They were an important source of foreign currency for Japan at that time and were tolerated by the Meiji government. Miho-san visited Sandakan, Borneo Island, East Malaysia on business in 1991, where she got the opportunity to learn more about Karayuki-sans. Interestingly, Yoshi Shimaki, a pioneering Japanese woman entrepreneur, after working as a prostitute, started her own business in Bombay. She was born in a coal mine in Kumamoto Prefecture, the same place where Miho Sakata Malhan-san was born.
You are talking everything about the story.
You have lots to do. I've seen your
I will explain the story.
Not to worry, not to worry.
Don't reach the important part.
From Shanghai, she moved to Singapore, where she worked in a nail salon and later in a massage parlor. Her business acumen enabled her to buy a rubber plantations, and she was.
Please don't talk about it right now.
But unfortunately, she committed suicide. And after this, I leave it to I leave it to Malhan San to carry her her thoughts and share her thoughts with us. Over to you, Sakata San, for about
Thank you.
50 to 1 hour. The forum is yours, and we are all ears to listen to this very interesting take on the Karayuki San of Japan. Over to you. And thank you once again for accepting our invite and coming onto the platform.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to get such a great opportunity to talk about one of the story which I know. And let me share the my document first of all. And just let me see. First, I will make the minimum. I hope you can see the document. Can you? It's okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Just
So-
a minute. Shreyas, are you recording? I can't see the recording.
It's streaming, ma'am. It's not recording.
Okay.
It's streaming to YouTube, right?
Okay. Yes. Again, thank you very much for coming today. And I will talk about Karayuki-san. Already you understand the background, but before I talk about Karayuki-san, I want to talk about my personal experience, background, plus Meiji era's story. And if you have a question, yeah, please ask me anytime. Yes, my background, I am from Fukuoka, Kyushu, Japan. And as you can see the map, the Fukuoka is center and the capital of Kyushu Island. And but I was born in Kumamoto. And till 1 year old, I was there. I don't remember I don't have a memory about Kumamoto, but Kumamoto is very important place to talk, Karayuki-san. And you can see Nagasaki. Nagasaki is a seaside also. And Nagasaki also important place. Then right side, the photo, my husband and myself. Okay. And actually my father's mother, my grandmother, she was born in Fukuoka. I put the heart mark and she's my grandmother. And you can see that everyone is wearing beautiful kimono. This one is actually ikat. And today I don't have time to talk about textiles, but the women are wearing indigo double ikat kimono. It's from, of course, India. India and Indonesia, here, Okinawa, came to my hometown. And again, my grandmother, and she's wearing double ikat kimono. And my father and his family, when they are young, actually, in the family, they are staying in Korea, 1942. After World War II over, they came back to Japan. And you can see the photo, the left side, the monk, his name is Nichidatsu Fujii. And he is the very important monk of Japan's one of the group of Nichirenshu. He is a Buddhist, and Nichirenshu is very important person. And he founded many Japanese temples in the world, actually. And in India, also, maybe somebody has been there in Mumbai, Kolkata, and there are so many temples. And this, my actually grandmother was very close to him. And this photo, he was on top of the elephant. The elephant is gift from India. So I will talk about the details, but this is original photo which I have here. Everything is my grandmother's photo. And Nippon and Myohoji, one of the biggest is Rajgir, Bihar, and Mumbai, Kolkata. And I have also been to Sri Lanka, Go, also has a very beautiful Nipponzan Myohoji temple. And this is my parents. And this is my childhood. I was born in Kumamoto, and this is a shrine of Kumamoto. And this is my, first Hinamatsuri Girls Festival, 1966. And my grandmother and grandparents took me often to the temple which celebrate Nichiren-san. Nichiren-san means the founder of Nichiren-shu, of Buddhism. So since I was a child, I was familiar to Nichiren, but I had no idea, of course, about Nichiren Fuji Nitatsu monk and India. And I went to high school in Fukuoka, but one summer day, I went to the US. This experience changed my life. I wanted to be a school teacher in my hometown, but I went to the US and I changed my mind, and I started to work in Tokyo. And I was an editor, and I made a lot of guidebooks and traveled a lot. My first travel book was Taiwan, and next Singapore and Malaysia. Through my job, I learned the World War II history and the tragedy, so many things. And I started to research, by myself about the history, war history. I also went to Mongolia, and I published the Mongolian journey. The right top of the photo is myself. I went to Mongolia. It was 1992. So it was a unique experience. From Beijing to Ulaanbaatar, I traveled 36 hours train journey. And, I couldn't speak English at that time when I was 20s. So I went to New York, London, the UK to study English. But just 3 months was too short. That's why next year I went to New York to study English for a year. Then I met my husband, 1996. Then husband took me to India 5 years later. Basically, before I was publishing free paper in New York, and I was doing advertisement and publishing business. And I got married in 2001 in Delhi. It was the first time for me to come to India. But the tragedy happened just, 2001. The September 11th happened. So I changed my mind, and I went to Washington, D.C. to live with my husband. Basically, we are living separately, but I went to there. Then I studied English again. Then finally, I studied somehow, research paper I wrote about New York, new Indian economy. Then I was interested in India. Then I thought, next era is India era. So India must be exciting. My husband didn't want to come to India. I pushed him to come to India. Then now, 19 years, I'm here. I'm enjoying the life. Okay, finally, I will start to talk about Karayuki-san. But before I talk about Karayuki-san, I have to explain about the details, Meiji era. Shortly before I showed you the map, you saw Nagasaki. Before Meiji era, about 200 years, it was Edo period, Edo era. At that time, Japan locked the country almost 200 years. But only Nagasaki, the Dejima Island, had a port, import-export port. Then from China or from Dutch, Japan had the trading, but only the small island was opened. Now, of course, some illegal ships are exist, but I'm not sure. Anyhow, 200 years, Japan, was quite peaceful, and I'm not sure details, but citizens are quite cheerful, and Japanese pure cultures, lifestyle, food, and a lot of things are developed. But 1853, American black ship came, the Perry's black ship we call, and they pushed Japan to open the country. Now, of course, in domestic, a lot of, not the politicians, young people said that we should open and we should, have trade and communication with foreign countries. But Japan closed the countries many years. That's why Japan could avoid to be occupied by Europeans. It's one of the reasons. But finally, Japan opened the country. Then Meiji era started. And in Japan, we call Meiji Restoration. In Japanese, it's a Bunmei Kaika, the flower of civilization. It seems like before we didn't have civilization, but just, westernized, started westernized. Inflow Western, civilization, equality of all people, and development of industry and commerce, and civil liberties movement. And meanwhile, Sino-Japanese War happened, China-Japan War, 1895, and Russia-Japan War, 1905. Surprisingly, both of war, Japan won. Then after China-Japan War, Japan occupied Taiwan. And after Russia-Japan War, Japan also occupied Korean Peninsula. So many things happened, and Japan seems like strong and wealthy or good condition. But in fact, even though industrial revolution happened and spinning and paper manufacturers happened, but the people's life was not so good, especially countryside farmers, very, very tough situation. And for example, you can see the photo. The woman is working at the cotton spinning factory. Most of them are from cotton and silk, actually, from the village, very poor village, and the working condition was so tough. And this is actually the document I will share afterwards. If you are interested in the information, I will send you the PDF file, because I'm doing various different types of talk presentations. Then I'm using the similar documents, and this one, the timeline is not only Karayuki San, but talk about India and Japan relationship. It's really important. So just 80-60, basically I wrote about when Jamsetji Tata born, and next year 80-40 Shibusawa H was born, and Rabindranath Tagore and Tenshin Okakura, actually Kakuzo Okakura also was almost same generation. Around that time, Meiji Revolution happened. And 1868, Jamsetji Tata found a cotton trading company. The history is synchronized. Then 1989, first Japanese group, came to India to research the cotton industry. Then in 93, Jamsetji Tata came to Japan. This history, I will explain a little bit the details. And the important part is that in the 1930s, more than 3,000 Japanese are living in Mumbai. It's a lot. Right now, Japanese in Bangalore hasn't reached 1,000, I guess. And Bombay much less. Delhi maybe around, I'm not sure the details much more, but in this time, 3,000 Japanese are living. It's huge. Most of them are from, like a trading companies as experts to get cottons. But the 3,000 include Karayuki San. That's quite, interesting, tough story. Then Japan and India, not only the Meiji era, but Showa era, there are so many connections. Maybe a lot of people knew about Japan and India, Subhash Chandra Bose came to Japan and had the agreement with Hideki Tojo. There are so many stories, but today I don't talk about World War II story because I need 2-3 hours more. So just today I will focus on Meiji era. But I just want to explain unique stories before I talk about the Karayuki-san. When Jamshedji Tata came to Japan, it was 1893, I said. And basically, when I was researching about the history, I found a very unique article on the Times of India, 2005. Mysore silk and the Japanese couple are connected. Basically, when Jamshedji Tata went to Japan, he was so inspired by Japanese sericulture, technique or so. Then Tata hired a Japanese couple as a circular experts to run the farm. Actually, it's in Bangalore, near JP Nagar, I guess. And some point I want to research who are they. But anyhow, the couple helped to improve the quality of Mysore silk. This helped revive the silk industry in the state. I think very few people knew about the story, I guess. So just I want to research some other time. And Tata was actually father of Indian industry, Jamshedji Tata. And H. Shibusawa, he is Japanese capitalism's father of Japanese capitalism. And he, helped a lot of companies, invested, and banks and the companies, and established spinning companies. Then H. Shibusawa and Jamshedji Tata met. Then cotton connects Japan and India. 1893, Jamshedji Tata visited Japan and met H. Shibusawa. And they agreed to build the shipping company. I mean, the shipping company was already there, just created the route between Kobe to Bombay, direct connection. Because around that time, British P&O shipping line or Australia or Italy was, they are using for cotton trading, but they charge a lot. That's why Japan and India wanted to get own route, own line, shipping line, and supported by Mitsui and Corporation. It's also a very interesting story. And this is a photo, not a photo, but illustration, paintings. This is the first ship from Kobe to India, Bombay. You can see the flag. I hope you can see. Indian flag and Japan flag is there, and H. Shibusawa's face on top. And the ship start from Kobe. I should have put English, but Kobe, Hong Kong, Singapore, Colombo, and Bombay. And a lot of people used this shipping, this route, and came to India, or they went to London. Actually, NYK is Nippon Yusen Kaisha. Still, Nippon Yusen is a very famous company. And you can see the document, the letter. It's just written in Japanese, but it said that Bombay Cotton Trading, shipping contract. Very traditional document. And basically from this year, H. Shibusawa became a 10,000 Japanese yen notes face. Yeah, he's there still, and from this year. And he had a connection with, not a connection, actually, he met Tagore in Japan. I also want to talk about Tagore's story. Tagore and Kakuzo Okagura's relationship, friendship is very interesting. Some other time I want to do the talk. And this movie, I just want to you to see afterwards. I found on the website. And this, the movie is showing 1920s Bombay. And the narration is telling about Mumbai, Bombay, its central position between the East and West. No city can show a greater variety of types than Bombay. Here we find gathered Parsi merchants, Arab traders, Afghans and Sikhs, Chinese, Japanese, Malay, Americans and British, all part of the cosmopolitan crowds, so characteristic of Bombay. Japanese also mentioned. I think Japan was also quite important around that time in Bombay. Okay, now, finally, I will talk about Karayuki-san. I hope you can hear clearly. It's okay? I can't see anybody, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, you're clearly audible, Malhan-san. You please
Fine? Okay.
can carry forward.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Karayuki-san means basically long time back. Kara, means China, and the Yuki means gone. In Japan, China was a foreign country. That's why Karayuki-san means the person who went to foreign countries. Basically, as I explained about the Meiji era, Japanese economy, industry, a lot of things has changed, westernized. But countryside, especially my hometown, born place, Kumamoto, Nagasaki, was so poor. And a lot of farmers are suffering, poverty. Then around that time, a lot of girls, young girls, even though, like 10 years or so, very small girls are sold. First, they are working as a maid or servant. Then when they became adult, they, had to do the customer work, as a prostitute. And the way to be shipped to the, foreign countries, for example, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Bombay, sometimes Africa, they had to hide. They can't get, some tickets. They have to, like a smuggler. Then they have to hide underneath of the, water tank or, ship, ship of the coal. And horrible situation. Then some of them are killed inside the ship because, sometimes extremely hot, sometimes too, cold. So many, tragedy happened. Then Karayuki-san is literally Miss gone to China, means gone to abroad. Then I read few books about Karayuki-san, interviews or research. Then all of the stories are extremely painful and terrible, but just I pick up not the extremely painful part, but 200,000 or 300,000 Japanese women are sold abroad around the world. And, the women had to take care of the customer, average 4-5 people per single night. Sometimes many as 30. Okay, and, not only the local people, sometimes, for example, the, white people, UK, European, or Japanese soldiers, so many different types of, variety of customers. And many women passed away. A lot of, venereal or endemic diseases, or madness, or of course, suicide. First they, when they left country, everyone was said that you just temporarily work in foreign countries, temporary, and you can send money for family, right? And they're thinking someday we can go back to Japan. But it was wrong. family didn't say, but the trader, I mean the negotiator, what you say, the middleman, got a lot of money from family, and they bought the girls. No, I mean the middleman paid a lot of money for family. It means family sold their own daughters. But the girls didn't know, and everyone said that I will come back, 2 years later, 3 years later. But in the ship, they will run. They have nowhere to go back. They are already sold. They don't have to send money. Just you should work there. And the money, they can't get by themselves. Maybe minimum, depend on the conditions, but maybe minimum. Most of money went to the government. It was important source of foreign currency for Japan. I don't know government or some industry or whatever, but anyhow, government knew about it, but no one stopped it. It was horrible. You can see the bottom photo is Singapore, and the top is I don't know which country. And there had to wear such a kimono, but their body was so tired, and a lot of women suffered by the disease. And this one I don't read, but somebody interviewed about Karayuki San. It was 20, newspaper was showing about it, that actually tape recorder was found, interviewed Karayuki San. The story is also quite remarkable. She was explaining how the government people treated them. Then Sandakan brothel number 8. I knew about Karayuki-san by this book. It's written by Yamazaki Tomoko. It was quite, became very popular because no one knew about Karayuki-san till then, because their existence was erased, and this, no one wanted to know about them. But some, the author visited Nagasaki to meet the lady and interviewed. And it was 1972 published. And from the book, the film also was made by Kei Kumai, 1974. So it was quite, controversial film, but it became very popular, well known. And the film, was nominated the Academy Awards of Best Foreign Language Film. It's so, painful story, but, I think in Japanese, you can see YouTube, Amazon Prime. I'm not sure in English, but this film also very, very, shocking. Then the, Sandakan is Malaysia, East Malaysia, Borneo Island. And you can see the cemetery. There is the center is a cemetery of Karayuki-san. But surprisingly, the cemeteries, everything is facing not to the sea, but to the inside the island, because they really didn't do, Karayuki-san was very upset about Japan. That's why they didn't see towards Japan. It's quite, painful. But all of the, cemetery, faced to the island side. Then I went to business trip when I was young. I mean, in Tokyo, I did a lot of drive interviews. I mean, drive journey through my job. I was making Shell Oil companies booklet. That's why I traveled a lot of different countries by car. Then I went to Malaysia, Borneo. I didn't go to cemetery, but I learned before I went there. Then many years I didn't research anything about Karayuki-san. But once I lived in India, and 2008 to 2010, 2 years I was in Bombay, living in Bombay and Bangalore. Then I knew about the existence of Japanese cemetery in Bombay. Bombay also had 200, 300 Karayuki-san from Japan, from late Meiji era to Taisho and early Showa period. However, even before that, it seems that some Karayuki-san entered Bombay via Singapore and other places. Then basically, I introduced about Sandakan, but before Sandakan, Rosal number 8, some author wrote about Karayuki-san. The title is Karayuki-san. Actually, she is from Fukuoka. And just she passed away 2 years ago as 95 years old. I really wanted to meet her. I wanted to interview her because she was living very close by my hometown, I mean my home. She interviewed 5 or 6 Karayuki-sans and made a book. And one of the Karayuki-san was working in Mumbai. Today, just I want to introduce about her. There's a lot of, I have no photos. That's why a lot of text are here. But her background is incredible. Her name is Yoshi Shimaki. She was basically, first of all, she was working as a prostitute in Shanghai for 5 years. Then afterwards, she went to Singapore. But when she moved to Singapore, she quit prostitute. Just she started to work in a nail salon. And she found a British policeman as her patron. Then she opened a massage parlor in Singapore. I think around that time, she had no education. She couldn't write and read, but she studied by herself, read and write, maybe in English also. Japanese, of course, she couldn't write, but Japanese, and afterwards, she learned English, reading and writing. And in Singapore, she bought a rubber plantations, and she increased her own wealth. When she left Japan, she was 19 years old. She was a prostitute. Then she went to Singapore, started beauty parlor, I mean nail salon, and own parlor. Then she went back to Japan 1921. She was 35. And she returned to home in Kumamoto. And, somehow she had a chance to get married as an arranged married. But husband had some issue, mental issues or whatever, and second marriage or so. He also couldn't find any wife. But it's a bit strange story. After she decided to get married, she wanted to get, correct money from Singapore because she had a lot of, assets. And, that's why she went there and sell the rubber plantations, and she got the money and came back Fukuoka, Kumamoto. But at that time, somehow her husband had disappeared. No one knows where did he go. But it was 1 year. It was too long, not 1 week or 1 month. She spent 1 year to clean up Singapore's everything, and she came back. Now, of course, she was disappointed. But in Japan, obviously, it was very difficult to live. Most of Karayuki-san was isolated in the isolated villages, pushed out from the village and living horribly old houses. Most of them died in the other countries, but some of them came back. But no one treated them nicely. Then she was also discriminated and abused. That's why even though she had money, but she couldn't use nicely. Then she realized it's difficult to continue to living in Japan. So around that time, as you know, Bombay was hot place. I mean, the cotton industries and a lot of Japanese are there. So she decided to move to Bombay. And she didn't know anything about Bombay and nothing. But once she reached Bombay port, she searched for a property to open her massage clinic on her own. Surprisingly, I can't imagine, I went to New York myself. Of course, I didn't have friends or whatever. Then I started on company in New York. But 1996 and 100 years ago, Bombay is totally different conditions. I really feel that she is extremely brave and tough and energetic. And the owner of the property, she chose, he was Parsi, guy. And somehow he was so nice to her and help her to open the, great business. She also introduced the clients. Then she opened Japanese massage clinic. And of course, I have to say, this is not a sexual or like a prostitute or nothing. Just she opened the pure massage clinic, right? And the clients include, a lot of celebrities or famous people. And surprisingly, her clients, the major clients was Mahatma Gandhi. And Nehru also her client. And Gandhi is, particularly, he came regularly. Surprising, at the age, she was 45 years old. And she, when she was 45 years old, and she got married with Japanese guy in Bombay. But anyhow, she was, writing about, as an interview, her episode is very interesting. Mahatma Gandhi, she explained, right? His body is so stiff and hard. The legs, he's walking around almost barefoot, chapel. And the barefoot is so, tough and hard and strong body. But he was so nice. Somehow he gave her a lot of gifts, like, silverware or pots or some handicrafts. I don't know why, but I couldn't make out through the interview, through the book, but he gave her a lot of gifts. On the other hand, she went to, Nehru's place. He didn't come to the parlor, but she went. And he was quite nervous, and his body was quite tense, according to Shima Kiyoshi. Anyhow, nobody described about their body. It's so strange, but somehow, I'm so impressed by the novel. And, but, the painful story is that she had to go back to Japan around 1935 because Japanese militarism is getting, strong, and the world started to attack Japanese. And it was quite, getting difficult to stay in foreign countries, and they couldn't maintain the business in India. Then Shima Kiyoshi went back to Japan. But it finally, when she went back to Japan with a lot of gifts. But around that time, Japan was so poor, and the government, military, they said that you should give your own valuable stuff, even though, metal, cooking pan, or, some home, something, all of the metals are collected by government, and they melt the metal and create some weapons. I don't think they could manage to make something from the kind of metals, but she offered all the many valuable gifts she had received from Gandhi. It was maybe quite painful, but before she offered, she displayed, she asked some, communities, leader, I really want to show the great gifts for villagers. Just let me display all of the gifts from Gandhi. Then I want to show. Then afterwards, please, give them to government. But before you give them, please crush and destroy in front of my eyes. I don't know what did that meaning, but she really didn't want to be taken by somebody, just she wanted to see by herself. Everything was crushed. At the time, her life also crushed. Then afterwards, she committed suicide. But she cleaned up her house, everything is cleaned, and commit suicide in her house. Then it's painful story, but her words are so powerful. She is speaking Kumamoto dialect. That's why the novel, the fiction, the book was written in Kumamoto dialects. I think even though Japanese, they can't understand what is she telling. But I understand because I'm from Fukuoka and Kumamoto, I can understand Kumamoto dialects. First, I have done this presentation, of course, for Japanese people. First, I translated from Kumamoto dialects and ordinary Japanese, and from ordinary Japanese to English translate. Translation software helped me, and I translate just 2 pages, but I really, want to read these sentences. Japanese massage is not a customer service. It is civilian diplomacy with the hinomaru. Hinomaru means Japanese flag. Hinomaru on its chest. And we must not do anything to deface the hinomaru. I live in other countries, 20, US and India, total 28 years. I'm not, like her, so strong, but still, I am always thinking that I am Japanese. In Japan, I am called Sakata-san or Miho-san. And I'm just ordinary person. But in the US or here, first everyone said that, oh, that's Japanese lady, Miho. I can't do anything wrong, misbehavior. Because if I had something wrong, I would spoil the Japanese reputation, right? That's why I'm being, of course, careful. I am thinking that I am carrying Japanese flag, my back. I shouldn't do anything misbehavior. But around that time, Yoshi Shimaki also saying same things and more powerful words. And she said that Indians have their own ideas and the British have their own ideas. If we look at every single customer and try to match their ideas, no matter how many ideas we have, it will never be enough. We are Japanese, so there is no mistake if we think of ourselves as a representative of Japan and give massages. Always keep the hinomaru on your chest and conduct civilian diplomacy with dignity. I always, when I'm talking about it, I almost, started to cry. Any job she respects, she proud of her own job. She's not like a, ambassador or consult. Just she's a massage parlor's, lady, but she is proud of herself. It's incredible. And she knows well about India. India has lost its own country, right? In the near, but India will get it's in the near future. She expected India will be independent. Look at it now. a great man. I'm sorry? Hello? It's okay?
Swati, can you mute your mic? Hello, Swati? Can you please
Okay, can I continue?
Yes,
Okay.
continue.
Okay. And yes, she expected India will be independent. Look at it now. A great man like Gandhi is walking around and preaching hard, not caring about himself. She wrote about Gandhi, Nehru's, she respected them a lot. And she knew what is happening in India. On the other hand, she said that Japan will not win against America. Japan will not last 3 years. She expected Japan will, lose. What are Japan's leaders thinking? You don't know how many Japanese people abroad are saved by the Hinomaru, Japanese flag, and you do something stupid. No matter how much private diplomacy we do, if our country tarnishes it, then our work is the same as being killed by our country. Honestly, she was very upset about Japanese, militarism and the war situation when she was in Bombay. But she went back to Japan. She was upset, but finally she said that we cannot ignore our own country in distress. It's okay. Please give them all the gifts from Gandhi. Even Gandhi knows how I feel. Gandhi understands my feeling. He says that the loss of own country was India's misfortune. It's incredible story, and we have 5 minutes more. So just Karayuki-san's story is mostly over, but can I talk about 5 minutes more or 10 minutes?
It's okay, Malhan-san, you can.
Can I continue? If
Yes,
someone
please.
can lead, right? Yeah, because its story is quite,
No problem, no problem. You can carry forward without any inhibition, please.
Okay. So now, I will talk about Japanese cemetery and Buddhist temple in Bombay. Okay, 1908, Japanese cemetery was established in Bombay. Because a lot of, as I said, 3,000 Japanese expats or somebody were in Bombay. But they are working so hard. Surprisingly, they studied not only English, Kannada, Tamil, Hindi, in a lot of languages because they went to, cotton farmers, villages directly and negotiate. They need to learn local languages. But unfortunately, some of them got malaria or fever or some accidents. The people are killed while they are staying in Bombay, includes Karayuki San. But there is no, cemetery, nothing. That's why 1908, around that time, Japanese monk, one of the monk went there, and Japanese community in Mumbai requested the Bombay city authorities to provide a place to cremation of Japanese citizens. Then afterwards, 1933, the good like a memorial tower was built. This one, since 2010, when I go to Bombay, always I visit there and I'm doing prayer. And there is a inscribed of the Japanese women's and Japanese people's name. So everything is written in Japanese, but more 80% are women, and they died from Taisho Showa, early Showa, before World War II is being over, and in 1891 to 1935 actually. And some of them are maybe business person. Male's name also there. And this, this place, Japanese cemetery has a, like a small prayer room. And there is also the, the stupa, the right side, the photo. This one is, World War II war prisoners, spirit was prayed here. The Infar, a lot of Japanese are killed in Infar, Kohima. Kohima, of course, there is a memorial, cemetery and some, museum also opened, I think. I have never been there, I want to go. But around that time, the war prisoners, Ash came to, I don't know, came here, Bombay. And as I explained, first, Nippon's Myohoji temple, actually built nearby. You can see the map. It's, Bombay, Wally area. And Nippon's Myohoji Buddhist temple is there, and walking distance just opposite of Four Seasons Hotel. Japanese cemetery is there, just behind all the buildings there. And behind there is a cemetery. If you have a chance to go there, please stop by. If you want to know the address, please ask me. So, it's really surprising that there is a Japanese cemetery there. And the unique things is that Nippon's Myohoji temple was built in 1952, but it's connected. Very first, I explained about Nichiren, Fujii Nittatsu, the priest. My grandmother was following him, okay? And he came to Mumbai and met Mahatma Gandhi. And he asked to Gandhi that I want to make temple in Bombay. Then actually some newspaper introduced about it. Then the Birla family actually close to Gandhi. He read the newspaper and he suggested we can make, be sponsor the Japanese temple. Since then, still now, Birla family is taking care of Nippon's Myohoji, not Japanese. Birla families are taking care. And this is, Buddhist temple, but accepting, Dalit people and Jain, Sikh, a lot of people, they, accepted. And I went to Bombay 2010 and I met the monk and Nippon's Myohoji. And I learned a lot about my family grandmother's connection and Bombay. And the monk, he went to Japan around 1985 with a lot of Indian monks. At that time, they parade from Hiroshima to Nagasaki. Then at that time, a lot of people, stopped by the, followers' houses. And my parents also offered my home. And, my home, 20, 30 Indian monks stayed. And they offered, rice bowl, and they offered, bathroom, and, the shower, everything provide. One of them was Mr. Morita. It was so unique background. And I wrote about Fujii Nittatsu here. Then I wanted to show the photo. Actually, I have original photo here. Fujii Nittatsu is here, and my grandmother also here. Somehow it's really unique coincidence. And everything is my original photo. And surprisingly, Birla family gave 2 elephants to home, temple, Fujii Nittatsu in Kumamoto. You can see, right? It's quite unique. And he looks so happy to take the elephants. And afterwards, somehow, my father had a construction company, and my grandmother requested to help to make a stupa. At that time, I was, college student, or so I didn't go to the ceremony, but my father built the stupa. And at the ceremony also, a lot of Indians, priests, monks came here. Before I met my husband in New York, 1996, by accident, I met him at Barnes & Noble bookstore, Starbucks cafe. It was very, very random meeting, but my life and karma is connected, India, since my grandmother's, time. Then just I put photos, Japanese cemeteries across Asia. Yeah, this is the all, I think. Yeah, I put my background and profile here, and I'm doing some other seminars. So if you are interested in, please call me. I will do again. Yeah, that's all. Just a moment. I have to go back.
Thank you so much, Malhan San.
Okay, it was
That
bit
was
long, but I hope
absolutely, that was wonderful.
thank you.
You brought so many memories back from me
Okay.
because in my first assignment in Japan, I remember some of my most memorable visits to Fukuoka, Nagasaki, Kagoshima. And you mentioned Fuji Guruji. You said
Fuji,
Nichidatsu Fuji.
Oh, you know?
In India, he's known as the Fuji Guruji.
Yeah.
And he got the award for international understanding, I think around 1985.
Okay.
And I was in Japan at that time. So I remember meeting him.
Oh my God. He was, he
And,
celebrated 100 years old birthday around that time. He was 100 years
Yes.
old. Oh my God.
And
Okay.
I met him at that time. And you mentioned so many stupas. There is also one stupa in Leh.
Okay.
Union Territory, in Ladakh. There is a stupa by the Nichiren, among many. And you really brought out the pathos of these young women who were almost forgotten. And to be honest, I did not know the story of the Karayuki San. I mean, I knew the sad story of the Ian Fu, the comfort women.
Yeah, Ian Fu. Yeah. Ian Fu is a bit same,
but
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Karayuki San apparently was much earlier than the Ian Fu.
Very, very, much earlier.
Yeah, much earlier.
Yeah. And even though
and also, as per your research, they largely came from Kyushu.
Yeah.
Karayuki San were mainly from Kyushu.
Yeah.
So,
Kumamoto,
but you brought out these relationship with Bombay and India, which was quite interesting.
Yeah.
That so many people came to trade with Bombay. And last program we heard so much about the cultural connection with Calcutta.
Yeah.
So it is quite interesting that in two successive lectures, we have had a Japanese link with Calcutta, and today you told us a lot about the cotton trade and the Birla relationship with Fuji Guruji, and of course the Karayuki Sans in Bombay.
And
the elephant was very interesting. I did not know that an elephant had been gifted. I knew that in 1951, Pandit Nehru presented an elephant to Ueno Zoo.
I know. That's
Called Indira.
Came from Kabini, Bangalore, Kolkata, and Japan. The story, elephant's story, also very interesting. Indira Gandhi also sent next elephant. And so many stories about elephants also.
So Pandit Nehru sent the elephant to Ueno Zoo in 1951. When that elephant died in 1980, we gave two elephants to Ueno Zoo. They are called Asha and Daya. And they are still there.
But unfortunately, Indira passed away. Then next year, Indira Gandhi passed away. It was a bit, after she sent two elephants.
Also mentioned about the great banker, Mr. Shibusawa.
Shibusawa, H. Shibusawa.
Mr. Shibusawa. So you know that his descendant, Shibusawa Ken, he comes to India and we have business relations with him,
Yeah.
Shibusawa Ken.
Okay.
And
I
so a
didn't
lot
know.
of interesting things you
Yeah.
brought out. But I think what touched me most was, the sad story of these girls
Yeah.
who were all sent out and then forgotten,
Yeah.
which is perhaps best brought out, showed us their graves, which don't look at the sea, but look
Yeah.
inwards because they felt Japan had turned their back on them and they
Yeah.
did not want to look at Japan.
Yeah.
Really
That is
sad.
really, really painful and expressing their anger and sadness, right? How much did they disappointed by own country? But at the same time, Yoshi Shimaki, also she is incredible. What a powerful woman, right? And
Yes.
I learned so many, not only for business people or not only the, some companies executives, right? And ordinary people are making effort a lot. So I'm so inspired by, now again, I'm inspired by her. And yeah, I should try to do something meaningful.
So I hand over back to Dr. Geeta to conclude the proceeding. Thank you very much, Malhan San. That
Thank
was the most illuminating talk.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Gurjit Singh San, for summarizing the entire 1 hour talk in about 5 minutes. And you have also brought in your interesting take as the Japanese ambassador there and added more value to her talk. Thank you so much, Malhan San, for this wonderful insight into a little known aspect of the Karayuki Sans. It is very touching. It is painful, and it really see the plight of women in those days. And that way, we have come a long way to be so very forward and able to do so much in society. Thank you so much. And I think we must now look for a third speaker who will bring the connection between Japan and Bengaluru. So with these few thoughts, I now request Shreyas to please read out the comments in both the the Facebook link, the Zoom link, and also the YouTube, and then we will leave it open for the audience to personally interact with the speaker. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. So on Zoom, we have comments from Mrs. Sushila B, who says very interesting and informative talk, highlighting nostalgic memories. And thanks everyone for arranging such interesting lectures from excellent resource persons. Ms. Swati Bhattacharya says very interesting and informative lecture. And again, thank you for revealing the sad story of these forgotten girls. Mrs. Ratna Kumari again says the session was interesting and the story narrated was so heart-touching. Thank you for everything that you touched on through these themes. Mr. VVVS Murthy has an interesting observation that he understands that Japanese cemetery traditions and culture are different and unique. Cemeteries are not usually tourist destinations, but interesting to note that some of the cemeteries in Japan are beautiful and favorite spots to see. It's a very interesting observation from him. Ms. Aparna Mishra says, a sad yet a powerful story of women across borders. And Mr. Vinod Kaul, who also thanks the speaker. Ms. Akio Sugita says, it's a full story of a woman whose destiny was affected by war. And that's quite true. I'll take a few comments from YouTube. We have greetings from many attendees from Mr. Shubhakar Mondal, from Dr. Harihara Srinivas Rao, from Ms. Meera Bhardwaj. There's been a discussion between Dr. Geeta Badiklaya and Dr. Harihara Srinivas Rao about the Tata Silk Farm in Bangalore, which is around the Baswangudi area. Mrs. Meera Bhardwaj says never knew such a historical connection existed between the two countries, and she asks for the address of the Japanese cemetery.
Is that all?
Just a couple more. So Miss Divya Rupa says thanks very much for getting to know about history that is forgotten. And Janavignana Jalakam also says everything was interesting and thank you so much. Yes.
So-
I think we can open the floor. Yes.
Thank you, Shreyas. For about 5 minutes, we throw open the forum for face-to-face interaction with the speaker. So please unmute yourself, put on your camera, and go ahead. So I think the questions have all been asked on the Zoom and from the YouTube. So it has been a very, very interesting talk with lots of pathos and tugging at the heart. Thank you so much for this very wonderful talk, Malhan San, and to every one of you who have supported us as always, attending the programs, our webinars, and hope to see you again on the 21st, wherein we have one of our trustee, Ambassador Nazareth San, who will speak about the Buddhist connections between India and Japan. Yes,
Gita-san?
yes,
Yes.
San, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much to Malhan, Miho-san, for her story. Well, when I was in Singapore, I remember myself visited a cemetery. There is a vast garden Japanese cemetery in the suburb of Singapore. Of course, Singapore is such a city country, and there were faceless, nameless stone tombs that were almost ruined, and there were a bunch of small ones. Of course, there are big ones with names, but we noticed that there are very small tombs with no names or rumbled stones. And we were explained that these were the cemetery for Karayuki San. So I just had to bow my head and prayed for them, because even if I didn't know anything about their tragic stories till today, I'm sorry, but I knew from my some experiences that their destiny was a very poor and miserable one, affected by the tragedy of war. And I thought about it, and I just wanted to express my heartfelt appreciation to Malhan-san for sharing her story about one particular woman, Yoshi-san, so vividly.
Thank you so much, Akiko-san, for the value add and extra point about the cemeteries in Singapore. So once again, good night and hope to see you on the 21st of September, same time. Shubharatri. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.